Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 12, Text number 11. Sarvatmani achyute sarve Tivraugham bhaktim udvahan Dadarshatmani bhuteshu Tameva vastitatam vibhum. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Dhruva Maharaj rendered devotional service unto the Supreme, the reservoir of everything, and the unrelenting force. While carrying out his devotional service to the Lord, he could see that everything is situated in him only, and that he is situated in all living entities. The Lord is called Achyuta because he never fails in his prime duty to give protection to his devotees. Purport. Not only did Dhruva Maharaj perform many sacrifices, but he carried on his transcendental occupation of engagement in devotional service of the Lord. The ordinary karmis who want to enjoy the results of fruitive activities are concerned only with the sacrifices and ritualistic ceremonies as enjoined in the Vedic Shastras. Although Dhruva Maharaj performed many sacrifices in order to be an exemplary king, he was constantly engaged in devotional service. The Lord always protects his surrendered devotee. A devotee can see that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam hridayeshu arjuna tishtati. Ordinary persons cannot understand how the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. The devotee can actually see him. Not only can the devotee see him outwardly, but he can see him with spiritual vision that everything is resting on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, Matstani Sarvabhutani. That is a vision of the Mahabhagavata. He sees everything others see, but instead of seeing merely trees, mountains and cities or sky, he sees only his worshipable Supreme Personality of Godhead in everything, because everything is resting in him only. This is the vision of the Mahabhagavata. In summary, a Mahabhagavata, a highly elevated pure devotee, can see the Lord everywhere, as well as within the heart of everyone. This is possible for devotees who have developed elevated devotional service to the Lord. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Preman Jana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Only those who have smeared their eyes with the ointment of love of God can see everywhere the Supreme Lord face to face. It is not possible by imagination or by so-called meditation. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, the elevated vision achieved by Dhruva Maharaj is being described in this verse. That Dhruva Maharaj, while carrying out his devotional service, he could see that everything is situated in Krishna, and Krishna is also within everything. This is his mystic opulence. Only Krishna can be in such a situation where apparently materially contradictory situations, inconceivable situations are possible for him. Everything is situated in him, then he is also in everything. So, this is, Prabhupada explains, that one who is elevated in his consciousness comes to this situation because that elevated consciousness is a consciousness of bhakti, love of Krishna. Krishna has no, between Jiva and Krishna, there is no spatial distance, temporal distance. Time doesn't separate. Space doesn't separate. There is only relationship distance. If there is more love, then he is right there. Prema jana churita bhakti vilochanena. This is an absolute principle of the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of God and Krishna. Because only love can bind him, loving service can bind him, nothing else. Space cannot bind him, time cannot bind him, karma cannot bind him, nothing can bind him except the loving devotion service from his parts and parcel. In fact, the idea of Krishna, what does Krishna do? Okay, we are doing so many things in this material world. What does Krishna do? The answer is, Krishna is only spending time with his devotees. What is Krishna's business? Krishna's business is loving relationship with his devotees. And what is that loving relationship? Krishna is always trying to please his devotees. The devotee is always trying to please Krishna. This is the absolute situation of Krishna and Krishna consciousness. Krishna has so many expansions. Krishna is available to everyone, including atheists, in one form or the other. Material energy itself is a form of Krishna. There is no question of any living entity being disconnected completely from Krishna. Because every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. It all depends on what is your relationship. If the living entity's relationship is with his material energy, that is also a relationship. But that is not a favorable relationship. That is a relationship in which you are going to see the power of his kala, and you are governed by guna, karma. All your experiences are governed by that, sukha, dukkha. And that also, it is the delivery of that is also happening by the mercy of the all-pervading Lord, Sarvatmani, Achyute Sarve, one who is seated in every living entity's heart. In other words, the devotee who understands Krishna and his expansions and his unlimited energies, they cannot see anything as disconnected from Krishna. There is nothing for a devotee to achieve than that particular state, which is much, much beyond liberation. Such a person who sees Krishna and Krishna's energy, Krishna's will, Krishna's purposes, Krishna's desire, Krishna's plans everywhere, is far beyond being liberated. And he exists only to fulfill those purposes, plans, desires of the Supreme Lord. And because he is inseparable from Krishna, and he attains that consciousness of being inseparable, that is called Krishna consciousness. Such a beautiful word Prabhupada has coined. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The essence of everything is there in that word Krishna consciousness. Perfection of life is Krishna consciousness. How to be conscious of Krishna and his activities, his potencies, expansions, everywhere. Everywhere, in everything, in every situation, in every person, in everything, he sees Krishna's relationship. That kind of perception, that kind of drishti is Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. He sees everyone, he sees everything, everyone, every situation, every activity as meant for giving pleasure to my Supreme Lord. And by practicing devotional service, only one attains this status. And what is practicing devotional service? Practicing devotional service means right now our consciousness is contaminated. Contaminated consciousness means pure consciousness is Krishna consciousness. Contaminated consciousness means separated consciousness, forgetfulness of Krishna. Now, most of the time we are forgetful of Krishna. So it's separated consciousness. So the conditioned soul is contaminated consciousness, is full of past impressions of being an independent enjoyer in this material world. And those are called anarthas. Our idea of independent existence, independent enjoyment is the anartha. So every situation we face in life on a day-to-day basis, the default perception of exploiting everything for my enjoyment rises up from our chittam into our conscious mind. In the course of our discourse with this material world, Kala is making us, our senses, interact with so many things in this material world, so many people in this material world, so many situations in this material world. In all these situations, the contaminated consciousness throws up ahankara, false ego. So what does this practice of devotion service mean? It means practice of accepting things that pleases Krishna, Crazy things will come out of my chittam due to the past deposit of such memories. Now I am a devotee, so I accept things favorable for devotion service and reject things unfavorable for devotion service. And I live my life surrendered to Krishna, depending upon Him, having full faith in His protection. He is my maintainer. He is my provider. That consciousness is what? Because that is exactly the consciousness that we left Krishna from. For an independent existence. Life of independent existence means I will have to take care of myself, my maintenance. I will have to protect myself. I will have to provide for myself. That is why we are in this material world. That's why the proof is that everybody is doing that. Everybody in the material world is thinking is providing for himself, thinking is maintaining himself. But the fact is that it's not. The super soul is in the heart of the living entity, and according to the way he deserves, the Lord is, last verse we saw, karma phalapradam, one who is giving all the results of his karma. The devotees, that is karmic consciousness, material consciousness, very common. Everybody is in that consciousness in this material world. But devotee's consciousness means what? These three aspects he is completely having faith. That Krishna is my maintainer, Krishna is my protector, Krishna is my provider. And therefore I shall have no other desire than desire of the Lord. When you have no other desire than the desire of the Lord, when you exist for no one else except for the Lord to fulfill Lord's wishes, that choosing that consciousness, dependent consciousness versus default independent consciousness, choosing continuously that and adjusting, accepting and rejecting, accepting things to please Krishna, rejecting things that displeases Krishna. Our chitta, our contaminated consciousness becomes pure and purer and oriented towards fully becoming Krishna conscious. So not a single moment of such a devotee is spent without that being for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. Because his object of service is the Supreme Lord, because his object of service, object is to continuously please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In his consciousness, he does not see all distance between him and the Lord vanishes. And that is how, literally speaking, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. By the ointment of love, the devotee is always seeing Krishna everywhere, in all circumstances, in all situations. In his different manifestation, respecting his different manifestations as revealed from the scriptures. Just like Prabhupada gave example, if you love your baby, when you see your baby's shoes, immediately you will remember the baby. In the same way, everything is Krishna's energy, Krishna's arrangement, Krishna's plan. You see Krishna's plan, then you see Krishna. You see Krishna's purpose in this material world, you see Krishna. Because you see Krishna's mind everywhere. Right from his presence in the heart of all living entities. being present in the material energy in the form of Kala, moving the material energy impersonally in the material world. And understanding that Krishna is always present wherever the devotees are singing His glories. Devotees are engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness. Because Krishna says there is no one more dearer to Him than one who preaches Krishna consciousness. So to receive our service, Krishna is always there. Sevya, Sevak and Seva. All three cannot be separated. If there is Seva, then there is Sevak and Sevya there. So this consciousness of connecting everything to Krishna, seeing everything with Yukta Vairagya perception, is what we practice in devotion service in practice, which will ultimately lead to devotion service, transcendental, spontaneous devotion service. Not only can the devotee see Him outwardly, but he can see with spiritual vision. What is that spiritual vision? This transcendental world view. What is what? In the scheme of things of Krishna, what is what? Who are we in the scheme of things of Krishna? Everything that we see, everything we connect with, what is the scheme of Krishna? What role it plays? And I should follow that, I should engage that vastu, Hari Sambandha vastu. See, everything is Hari Sambandha, and I have to engage in devotion service in relationship to that vastu, respecting that vastu's relationship with Krishna. Another point, he sees everything as you see and me see. He sees everything others see, Prabhupada says. But he sees something more. He sees his worshipable Lord as the owner of everything. He sees his worshipable Lord as a driver of everything. Entire existence being driven by him when he sees the entire existence. Any questions? And in the end, Prabhupada says, such seeing is not possible by imagination or so-called meditation. So you see, this is not seeing with your imagination. Actually seeing the Lord's form. Sometimes one reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, is Krishna talking to you directly? And Prabhupada was quiet. Then devotee was sitting next to him. He told the reporter, yes, the Lord in his heart is speaking. So immediately Prabhupada corrected, no, Krishna is speaking to me directly. So that is a different, that is only Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Yogi can also see the Lord within the heart. And also somebody who is free from contamination, who is following the instructions of Guru, he can also receive instruction from Super Soul as a Chaitya Guru. You can have connection with the Lord as a Chaitya Guru, even as a sadhaka. But Krishna is directly instructing him, directing him. Because of that loving connection with the Supreme Lord. And Srila Prabhupada is working on his behalf to give that pure Krishna consciousness. Pure Krishna consciousness means that Krishna of Goloka Vrindavana. Highest, you don't say pure, all are pure. Krishna consciousness means pure only. Vishnu consciousness also pure. Highest pure consciousness. Highest form of Krishna. Purna Avatara, Purna Leela. One who is within him. All Vishnus, all expansions are situated. That pure Krishna consciousness representing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what is coming through this parampara to this world. Everybody cannot understand, but when such incidences happen, when Prabhupada speaks out, we come to know that. Everyone we cannot appreciate Srila Prabhupada's transcendental position. Who is this person who has come from Golok Vrindavana? And giving this Krishna, pure Krishna consciousness. Yes, there was some question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, we discussed that devotee sees Krishna everywhere. So now, just like in Bangalore, we have now 2 temples, HK Hill and VK Hill. So now, suppose a devotee feels that I feel more Krishna conscious in one particular center. So why is that? Is that
because you are not that devotee who is Premanjana Churita. Devotee means there is specifically who is a devotee who sees Krishna everywhere, who doesn't miss Krishna anywhere. One who has attained the Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. One who sees everything with the ornament of pure love of his object of love, Krishna. So it's not for everybody. And don't try to see it like that. Then it will become imagination. If you try to see Shyamasundara with the flute everywhere in your imagination, oh, that is what this purport is saying. I should start seeing everywhere. One devotee was sitting in the front of the altar, hours together, and he was watching, seeing the deities. Prabhupada knocked him out. Work now, samadhi later. Kaam karo. Purify yourself. So don't try to see too much now. Direct seeing, don't try. And then we follow the process, get purified. Completely heart become completely cleansed. There's no question of any modes attacking. Not only that, it is not enough for our consciousness not to have the modes of material nature, but it has to have a positive absorption in internal energy of the Lord. Mahatmanastu mam partha. Such a Mahatma, beyond that Mahatma, Paramahamsa, Shuddha Bhakta. For that person, this is available. This state of consciousness is there.
So one thing is seeing the deity which you focused. So another thing is like somebody feels I am comfortable, I feel better if I serve in, let's say, VK Hill than in HK Hill, I become more Krishna conscious when I go and serve in VK Hill. So why is that? Is it material attachment or spiritual attachment?
Yeah. Some anarthas will be there that are satisfied there more than here. I also feel sometimes there. There everything is very peaceful. Here lot of activities. There everything is shanti. Here you go to the temple hall at 10 o'clock. So many people are there. Our limitation. We see Krishna better in certain situations than certain other situations. We find it easier to be Krishna conscious in certain situations than other situations. But that can be used as a principle of engagement, but one should get over that. For us, more important is where I can serve my spiritual master, where it is required my service, I will go. But if you are so neophyte, then yes. If you say, Prabhu, either you send me to VKL or I am going home, I will say, go to VKL. Or you simply say, I like VKL, I like to be in VKL, not HKL. Then I'll preach to you. When it is required, you go there. When it is required here, you be here. The focus is serving Srila Prabhupada. Where it is doesn't matter. That is why devotees don't worry. We transfer devotees from, for so many reasons. Transfer from one temple to another temple, to another temple, to another temple. Devotee will think, there is no stability for me. Stability is in the consciousness, not in the place. Stability is in the consciousness. Are you able to practice your sadhana? Are you able to practice service to Prabhupada in each situation? Enough. That is stable. That is stability. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, when pure devotee sees Krishna everywhere, is it that with the bhavana that he is having, he is able to feel the presence of the Lord? Or it is he's actually seeing, or
he's actually seeing
the form of,
because there is no difference for him, there is no difference between bhavana and Krishna. Krishna is Krishna bhavana. Just like Krishna's name is no different from Krishna, Krishna bhavana is no feelings for Krishna is Krishna. Everything about Krishna is absolute. Therefore, the answer can be, it is both. He sees him in his bhavana and sees him in his form, both. There is no difference between the two for him. Because this is not seeing in physical dimension. It is not that he is seeing, here, there, in physical dimension. No. Anything is possible. I was reading yesterday one pastime, Prabhupada's. Prabhupada was cooking. And then he was using the spoon. There are two stoves. Cooking something in one stove, with the spoon stirring it. And then he will stir, then he will take the spoon and keep it like this, and then afterwards he will open the other pot, he will stir. So Prabhupada had told devotees, don't use the same spoon to serve two dishes, to cook two dishes, he had told. So after the devotee saw Prabhupada doing same thing. So here he is cooking, then he is holding like this. And then afterwards he is again stirring the other preparation. So Prabhupada, he asked Prabhupada, you are doing, you told us not to use the spoon. So it's like testing. So Prabhupada said, you did not see Krishna was sitting on my shoulders. He was tasting and already it is tasted. So all these things, Krishna is inconceivable. Our mind thinks in terms of limitation of time and space. Oh, how is this possible? How is that possible? Everything is possible for love of Krishna. How does food become prasadam? It's love. No other limitation, no other law there. How does deity become deity? No other law there. Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan in the transcendental abode, in unlimited forms. Radha Krishna Chandra, Radha Madhava, Radha Vrindavan Chandra. It's all factually everywhere they are there. Living in the community with the devotees, receiving their services. We are not living alone, we are living with the deities. All the sadhana bhakti is designed so that we feel that we are living with the deity, that truth is realized. That feeling is there that I am living in Krishna's house. Yes, question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you told that the objective of life of a devotee is to please Krishna. And in this process, we should reject which is not favorable in Krishna consciousness. So, because we are conditioned and we have many anarthas, so because of this conditioning, respond to the objects in our initial practice of Krishna consciousness, many times we fail to reject which is not in favorable of Krishna consciousness. And it develops, this result in development of lot of guilt, or it may lead even to depression like that I am not able to do, or I am not able to overcome my conditioning response which is not favorable in Krishna consciousness. So how do devotees should deal these things?
See, there are two things. One is old contamination, old responses from the heart. Another is, just like the fan is turning, there are two forces, the momentum of its own turning and the electrical power that is turning. You put the switch off, then the fan will continue to turn. It is not the electrical energy that is turning it. The previous electrical energy that was turning it is continuing to turn. In the same way, so many conditioned perceptions that we have in our mind, that we do not respond in a Krishna conscious way to some situation. We don't reject it where we have to reject it. We don't accept something where we have to accept. So in this way we make mistakes in accepting and rejecting in our practice. So we have to ensure that we are not voluntarily, when we break. Against the force, if you break, it is different. Voluntarily when you break, that means you are not ready for devotion service. You have to be guilty then. But you want to, but you fail. See, there are two things. I don't want to fail, but I fail. That situation is, I don't want to fail, is you have put off the electrical inner current that is turning it. But still you fail, means the old conditioning is causing it. Now, if you are patient, you have to be patient. Have faith that if I continue to associate with the holy name, that is the only way in which this anarthas will be uprooted once for all. So therefore, becoming more serious in associating with Krishna in the form of reading Prabhupada's books, chanting Hare Krishna, deities, praying to the deities, all these things, when you activate this more, then this old force of the fan turning will slowly, it will stop. So, when a new person starts accepting and rejecting, his failure will be more. As you are progressing in devotion service, your anarthas are decreasing. So most of the thing, very comfortably you are able to accept things favorable for devotion service, reject things unfavorable. Because that becomes default. Now our default response is based on old stuff that is sitting in our chitta. And by acting in devotion service on the principle of accepting and rejecting, our stock of old conditioning slowly decreases. Anartha nivritti continues with the more and more association, then everything goes away. It has to come clean. Because this anartha means this unwanted attitude of life. That attitude goes, then everything is only always Krishna conscious. So the question is, if you are fueling it, you should be guilty. If you are not fueling it, you feel bad about it, you feel repentant about it, you should feel confident that Krishna will help me, Nama Prabhu will help me, I will come out successfully. This is not me, this is my old me, this is my old anarthas. I will come out of this. That confidence should be there, not guilt. And in devotion service, patience is required. You cannot say so many things my guru told me to do, I am failing here, I am failing here, I am failing here. You are a student. Student means failing. But a student means one who fails and learns. Otherwise there is nothing. What is there? If you are already a pure devotee. We are not pure. Therefore when we learn how to swim, sometimes we will drown. Then slowly we become expert swimmers. But after several years of devotion service, if we are failing, then you have to check whether the fan is on, no, the electric switch is on. Why nothing is changing? How many years over? You're seriously practicing, hearing Hare Krishna, things can happen very fast.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. As a sadhaka, there is a possibility that we can feel the connection with Super Soul. So how to, let's say, chanting, everything is happening nicely and all, then we may feel some connection, or at least I feel that, okay, so how to confirm that, let's say some ideas come. Now, if I have to implement that idea in the service, so I should be sure that, okay, this is not coming from my mind. So how to be sure that, okay, this is not from my mind and this is some guidance from Super Soul, or like this? How to distinguish?
No, first of all, you should use your intelligence to distinguish. And with things which are black and white, it is very clear, very easy to distinguish with intelligence. Right? Now, for instance, if you get a sinful idea, obviously you know it is not Super Soul. Right? Suppose you are a cook. Now your idea whether I should make vada or bonda today. So in such situation, how you wanted to do vada, suddenly one idea bonda came. Now that idea is from Super Soul or from your mind. Best thing is don't bother. Krishna will okay for both. It is not Krishna's idea, vada or bonda. Both are your ideas. Super Soul intervenes, conscience intervenes. But till then he gives you the freedom. You can make vada or bonda. Let you use your free will. Super Soul is not like your authority. Aisa hi karo. I told vada, why did he make bonda? He gives perfect freedom. But his conscience will speak out. If you are going away from, going into Maya, then he will speak out. Super Soul will say, don't do it. That is the voice of Super Soul for a sadhaka. Whenever he goes off the track, he comes to know I am going off the track. The conscience. Conscience is Super Soul's voice. Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.